Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Our Emmett, Tyrrell, the title of his book, How Do We Get Out of Here? How do we get out of here? Where's here? Where are we at? Well, here's an indication of where we're at. U.S. News and World Report out with its 2024 edition of Best Colleges. Number one in the nation, the number one college in the nation, according to U.S. News and World Report. This is what a lot of
Georgia
people
Tech.
look at in terms of status.
It's not Georgia Tech?
It's not.
Oh,
The Princeton Tigers.
of course.
Princeton Tigers.
Much
the
did they
Ivy
pay
League.
for that?
Sure. Princeton, the number one university in America, according to Best College in America, according to U.S. News and World Report. It's also the college that features this. A new drag university program launched at Princeton University will train students in the art form of drag.
Oh my God. Next thing you know, it's going to be an Olympic event. Trust me.
So Princeton is, whereas Northwestern, top 10, is sex toy university, Princeton now promotes itself as Drag U. The program is offered through the school's Gender and Sexuality Resource Center. And enrolled participants will cover an array of topics, including history of drag, sewing 101, got to make your costumes, choreography, face painting, photo shoots, and other topics.
Face painting.
The first 6 enrollees who attended the September 19th orientation and commit to the program will receive scholarships to fully cover the cost of supplies. Yes, the downtrodden otherwise attending Princeton. This is one of the institutions that's going to protect and advance Western civilization into the coming century and beyond, right? That's what we're to believe. At least they sort of concede by the nature of this course description, programmatic description, that this is so much performative. How do we get out of here?
Help.
Please, give me the map. I want to go. Our Emmett Tyrrell,
Corn maze.
founder of the American Spectator, his book, How Do We Get Out of Here? Half a Century of Laughter and Mayhem at the American Spectator, from Bobby Kennedy to Donald J. Trump. Our Emmett Tyrrell, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
But by the way, I should hasten to add, our Emmett Tyrrell, Fenwick High School grad.
Oh.
Yeah, Fenwick High School grad, Oak Park
Did you know
native.
Governor Quinn?
So how do we get out of here? Where is it from which you want to escape?
Well, we wanted to. I was at Indiana University on a stage with Bob Kennedy. I was behind the curtains. Bob was in front of the curtains. He gave another stem winder of a speech, and suddenly he burst through the curtains and said, "How do we get out of here?" That was in 1968, and I've kept that title for all these years because I thought someday I'll have to use that title. And it turns out to be a great title for a memoir. And so that's what that's the history of the title. But the title has served me very well for all these 55 years.
And how does it parlay into current culture?
I don't think Bob Kennedy would have. I think he'd be dizzy by taking a look at the culture today. Another person I mentioned in this book is Ronald Reagan, and he and I worked together throughout the 80s on trying to change the culture. He was alarmed at the culture, and as a result, we did many things together. And at the end of his career as president of the United States, he came to dinner at my house and had 250 security people surrounding the house, but they were all trustworthy, I'm sure.
And so from Reagan to present, what's happened?
It's not hard to say what's happened, really. We brought in really inferior presidents. We brought in Donald Trump, he showed promise. But Bill Clinton screwed the pooch, as Tom Wolfe used to say. He started the decline of the American presidency, and it's declined ever since.
Is the decline in of the American presidency, even just in the last 30 years, Clinton to president? I mean, it's sort of a chicken and egg. Is that being driven by our political leaders, or is it being driven from the bottom up, and the political leaders are just reflective of that decay?
It's from the top down. Jimmy Carter started the operation, and from there on, we had good news, Ronald Reagan, good news, George H.W. Bush, and those are people that I worked with and I talk about in this book. And then there, of course, were lesser people like Barack Obama.
Well, so when you think about where we are, what would you recommend in terms of where conservatives should focus their attention and energies? Is it a particular institution? Is it a particular office? Where should we devote our energies if we want to turn this around?
Well, we've got 2024, and that's a good place to start. Any one of those candidates, the Republican candidates, would be better than what we have right now. And Donald Trump he was a very fine president for a while, but he took too many punches. If he can win this next election, he's got to turn it around. He's got to support intelligence and soar above these people that keep clouding him.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan never fooled around with such nonsense. He always soared above the opponent.
Well,
pardon me?
Yeah, that comparison or contrast between Trump and Reagan is often made, and the response you get, of course, is, well, a man for their times. Reagan was a man for his times, and Trump is a man for his times, different times, and you need somebody that's more combative, even excessively so. What do you say to that?
Well, in my book, I talk about Donald. I was with Donald in the early days. I was a big, staunch supporter of Donald, but I saw how he changed, and he's got to get back on track. He can do it, but he's got to get back on track, and he's got to devote himself to the politics of the present moment, not to past slights that he's received from the Democrats or even from the Republicans.
Well, how did President Trump change?
He took too many punches. He answered every swat at him. He answered with a punch right back, and that's not the thing to do. When I was with Ronald Reagan, he made it very clear he wasn't going to answer the attacks on him. Remember how they called him stupid? They called him stupid even as he won the Cold War, even as he lowered taxes. But he didn't play their game. He never fell for the constant punching back and forth. Donald has, and that's how he changed. When I knew him, he was a very gregarious, friendly, folksy guy, and you should check out his speeches. But he collapsed, and in turn, he got involved in nothing but fist fights for the last year in office. And it was a mistake on his part, and it's changed his personality. If he can get back on track, it'll be a good thing. If not, there's a lot of Republicans out there that are looking for a chance to run against the Democrats. And I think any one of those people that you saw last week could do better than the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll see. I mean, Trump is obviously in the pole position right now, in part because of the unprecedented number of times he's been indicted. I mean, here's what Trump in California had to say. He was speaking at the California Republican Convention. about the number of times he's been indicted, and really this is the in part a lot of the basis of the standing and the enthusiasm for Trump right now. Take a listen.
They indicted me, and then again and again and again. I was never indicted. Now I'm setting records. Al Capone was not indicted so much. Alphonse Capone. If you looked at Al Capone in the wrong way, he'd kill you. He was not indicted like me. I was never indicted.
I mean, he's being glib and he's sort of ridiculing this, but that's where people are. They think that the justice system is increasingly a joke, which is not a happy occurrence. That's a real danger to a free society. But I mean, how do you react to that? The situation we're in right now, vis-a-vis the precedent the Democrats set with these politicized indictments.
Well, I think you saw the basic humor of the man right there in that clip. He's a very funny guy, but he's got to move beyond that. We don't elect presidents because they make us laugh. We elect presidents to do things, and the things he did in his first term were astounding. Now he needs to take a stronger stand on the issues at hand. One is our border. He had his hand on the border, had his handle on the border in his first term. He should now finish it off. There's more for him to do, and if he get onto that track, he'd be on a better track.
He is our Emmett Tyrrell. He's the founder of the American Spectator. His new book, How Do We Get Out of Here? Half a Century of Laughter and Mayhem at the American Spectator, from Bobby Kennedy to Donald J. Trump. Our Emmett Tyrrell, thanks so much for joining us. Good to talk to you again, and best of luck with the book.
Good to be with you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer.